Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, good morning, Sully.
Now, Cole Raring's level of respect for you depends on your answer to this next question. Do you watch college football spring games?
Do I watch college football spring games? No. No.
we just saw a preview for the we just saw a preview for the Alabama spring game coming up at 3:00 today. I was asking Cole if he's going to watch. He's like, "Come on, dude! I don't sit around watching spring games."
Well, I'll give you this though. There is a local South Jersey kid in Anthony Everett that does play for Alabama.
Oh, really?
There may be a few people that will watch the Alabama spring game just to see what he does, but I would venture to say that 99% of the time I am not going to watch a college football spring game.
So let's dive into some high school baseball here. Drop some knowledge on us. We got a great show going, and let's keep it going here.
We have a great McGarry took an awful lot of my time, so I guess whatever you want to talk about.
Well, when he gets those 2 Diet Cokes in him, sometimes he just goes on a little tangent there.
Yeah, that's okay.
So drop some knowledge on us here. Who's looking good? We're about 3 weeks in here, and we're kind of figuring out a little bit about who's who.
Well, I think this past week we're finally now done with the the spring break type of games. A lot of teams, surprisingly to me, a lot of teams were away this week, either in Florida or South Carolina. Even Eastern made a trip across the country into the L.A. area. So. A lot of teams went south. Like I said, Eastern went to the west, and for the most part, everybody should be coming back feeling pretty good about themselves. I know EHT played in South Carolina. They won I believe they played 5 games. They won their games. Lenape played 4, I believe, games in South Carolina. They won them all. Eastern played out in California. I believe they come back 3-1. So, you've got a handful of teams out there who had an opportunity to play some ball in some nice weather at some nice facilities and, kind of gain some momentum. Obviously we don't know the strengths of these teams. But, when you can come back with a string of victories and you kind of build some momentum heading back into now into your league games and really what is an important part of the season right now, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, no doubt. Talk about some teams that we might have not really talked about too much so far, like a team like Kingsway. Where do they stand? I know they've played some tough games in the last week or so, and some squads like that. I know Williamstown, they had a tough loss against Prep earlier this week, but they're a team to watch out for as well.
Kingsway hasn't played a whole lot of games right now. They played a pretty decent schedule, and they're pretty much right now about a 500 team. A team like Williamstown, who's, I think a lot of people thought highly of Williamstown coming into the season and still do. A team that's absolutely loaded with seniors. They've kind of had some ups and downs so far in these first couple of weeks of the season, but they're a team to obviously keep an eye on. You got a team like a Clearview. Clearview jumps out, wins first 7 games. Then they took a really bad loss, to a Gloucester GCIT team. That's probably, you characterize as probably, about an average team, maybe it's a step above average. But they put 11 runs on Clearview in one inning of a 14-3 win. Clearview, I can't remember the last time Clearview lost a game where they gave up double-digit runs, let alone in one inning. Clearview comes back the next game against Cumberland and drops 14 runs on Cumberland, hits 7 home runs in the game. So,
wow.
There's teams out there that that are playing well. There's teams out there that are probably still trying to find themselves. You got a team like Hamilton, off to a great start. Lost the game to Pennsville in their tournament final, I believe, was last weekend, and they go away for a week, kind of. I believe they went 3-1 in South Carolina. Win some games, and then they'll be coming back, and they're a team to kind of keep an eye on in Group 3. So overall, right now we're starting to find what teams are made of. Obviously a lot of teams still haven't played a large number of games for being being 3 weeks into the season. But we're getting there, and when this weather finally shakes out, and we get the nice days every day, and teams are playing pretty much every day for a little while, we'll really get to see what's going on.
Yeah, I guess it's a little tough to kind of gauge some of these teams. Maybe they only have 6-7 games in, so you're still trying to figure out maybe who the number one pitcher is and how their lineup's going to shake out, right?
Yeah, a lot of teams. There's some teams now that have played 8 to 10 games, but there are those teams that are still half dozen, 6, 7, 8 games, and with the pitching rules like we've talked about in the past, we kind of have to figure out where our roles are and how that all kind of shakes out. But I think by the end of the month, maybe by the end of next week, teams should have a pretty good idea of their rotations and settle into things and to really get an idea of what they have to do to potentially be a team to watch later in the season.
We're talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Kevin, what do you expect from a team like Eastern going forward? Here's a team with a couple of All-State caliber guys. They've done well the last year or two and really have built a pretty good program over there. How do you expect them to compete the next 4 or 5 weeks?
Eastern will be right there in Group 4 and as in the Olympic American as well. I know that in their games in California, Davis Schneider had himself a very, very good tournament. Seemed like every day he was collecting 2-3 hits and hitting some home runs and some extra base hits. So I think he's one that has really jumped out to a very good start for the season. Jack Herman, another player, junior center fielder. He's our reigning player of the year, and I think he was a little slow out of the gates, but he had a couple of big games in California. I know he had a home run in at least one game, and Eastern is a team that coming into the season, I kind of knew offensively they'd be okay, and in the field they'd be okay, and what it would come down would be pitching. So that's no different than a lot of other teams, but Eastern lost a few arms last year, and really that's what they had to replace the most. So they get that all taken care of. I think they'll be fine, and they'll be a team to definitely keep an eye on.
Kevin, anybody individually really impressing you on the mound?
Well, I haven't seen a whole lot of games, but there's some kids out there that have a couple of wins already under their belt. Matt Orlando, a sophomore right-hander at Bishop Eustace, I believe he's 4-0 at this point. Keeps the ball around the plate, not overpowering, but really by pounding the zone. He makes his pitches and allows his defense to do its work. And there's a freshman at Washington Township, Nick Hammer, who's off to a very good start. He's throwing the ball extremely well, and again, keeping the ball around the strike zone. So, right now, as far as pitching is concerned, no one, I can't say that anybody has really jumped out at me to the point where I'm like, wow, that kid's definitely, the pitcher. But, when you come down to pitching, Gloucester Catholic's loaded with pitching. There's a handful of teams out there that will be okay arm-wise. I know Jack Billings at St. Augustine is off to a really nice start. Last year he was the closer on the team, had 6 saves as they went to the non-public A state final, and this year he's starting, and he throws the ball very, very well, keeps it around the plate, and like I said, pitching right now, like no one really has jumped off the charts at me. There's a handful of kids with a couple, like I said, with a couple of wins, but we'll probably get a better idea with the pitching and how that all shapes out. Probably in the beginning of May. So maybe another week or two, and we'll get a really good idea of who's really the guys to watch.
Kevin, some pretty big games in the Cape Atlantic League coming up this week. You got Mainland Millville, I believe EHT Buna, and then later in the week Vineland Millville. What are some of the games you got on your radar coming up this week? Maybe some big matchups we should be keeping our eye on.
Well, in all honesty, Sully, I haven't looked at next week's schedule yet. So
you still trying to get through this week?
I got to get through today. With this weather, this rain this morning has kind of tinkered with the schedule a little bit. Games have been canceled. Games have been moved around. So as far as big games next week, I really haven't I really haven't had an opportunity to look that far ahead, but that's definitely something I have to get done today, in order to prepare for next week. But, there's going to be games out there, and I think it's not just a certain day of the week. I think every day is going to have decent games, and it's just because of the quality and the level of high school baseball in South Jersey. It is very good, and there's teams out there with kids going on. They're going to play at the college level, and whether that's a high Division I or whether that's a Division I or even a 2 or a 3. But as far as high school sports in South Jersey is concerned, baseball may be the sport that produces the most college kids, and like I said, when you have that many decent college kids out there playing on every team, it's going to make for great games. So I think we can we'll find pretty decent games every day throughout the season.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, have you heard anything about the Bishop Eustace tournament still going on, or I don't know what the weather situation's out that way?
That the Henkel tournament at Eustace is pretty much the only one on my schedule that I haven't found a change to this yet. So I know that one was supposed to start, I believe, around 10 o'clock this morning with St. Augustine playing Malvern and Eustace playing Episcopal. I haven't seen any change to that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did get pushed back at least a little bit, just to give the groundskeepers some extra time to get the fields in playing condition.
Good stuff as always, Kevin. We'll let you get going and enjoy the rest of your weekend, bud.
Hey, Sully, anytime. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Take it easy.
That was Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Always enjoy his take on high school baseball.